Now at 11 on Time Warner Cable News on ABC 45, Memorial Day weekend is here, and so is that traffic. Hear how many drivers are expected to hit the road.
C45.
And thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Sharon Stone. Details on those stories coming right up. But first, meteorologist Doug Lindsay is here. The first check of that weather on the One's forecast. And Doug, I thought we had some pretty warm weather this week, so it's feeling nice and mild out there tonight.
Yeah, it is still very mild out there, but it's going to cool. Full forecast in just a few minutes.
And thousands of drivers across North Carolina will be on the road this holiday weekend. AAA expects 1 million North Carolina drivers and 36 million across the country to hit the road, even though gas prices are up 20 cents compared to Memorial Day weekend last year. Law enforcement across the state will be cracking down. Last Memorial Day, more than a dozen people died on North Carolina roads. A Winston-Salem bridge that closed last Friday after the North Carolina DOT found it to be unsafe has reopened. City officials closed Reynolds Park Road Bridge over Brushy Fork Creek after a bridge inspector found that interior support beams had deteriorated. NCDOT has reopened the bridge for traffic with the weight of 5 tons or less. Detour signs will stay in place for vehicles over that weight. City plans to replace the bridge next year. The Army Ground Forces Band kicked off the Memorial Day weekend with a concert at Oak Hollow Festival Park in High Point. The 55-member band is based at Fort Bragg. They perform in parades, ceremonies, and patriotic celebrations throughout the year. Well, North Carolina's largest wine festival takes over Tanglewood this Memorial Day weekend. Vendors are setting up for the thousands they're expecting to pour into that park. Caitlin Lockerbie caught up with organizers getting ready to pop the cork on this year's party.
Cable News.
And I do want to mention that tonight was Caitlin's last night with us. She's moving on to an exciting new opportunity. So Caitlin, good luck to you. We're going to miss you here. And the festival Caitlin was telling us about, it starts at noon tomorrow, runs through 6:30. Tickets can be purchased online or out there at the gates. A 300-year-old American industry once considered destined for extinction could be making a 21st century comeback. Today, Reynolds American CEO and President Susan Cameron announced the company will invest money and create new jobs to manufacture its Vuse e-cigarette. After a limited release in Colorado and Utah, Cameron says this product is ready to go national.
Vuse, to date, has far exceeded even our own management team's expectations.
Cameron says Vuse is different from similar products because it comes in a disposable and rechargeable form and does not require smokers to handle the nicotine liquid. The product will create 200 jobs over the next 4 years. House Majority Leader Eric Cantor is using Charlotte to tout a jobs bill. Cantor joined North Carolina Republicans at Siemens today to talk about the company's job training apprenticeship program. He says the bill promotes similar programs and gets rid of a one-size-fits-all approach to help people of all backgrounds find jobs.
Bending towards workforce readiness, allowing for regions of the country. Charlotte, this region's employment needs are going to be different than an employer's needs elsewhere in the country. And so that's the essence of the kind of flexibility this bill is after.
The House already passed an earlier version of the jobs bill, but the Senate needs to approve it before it bounces back to the House and possibly moves on to the White House. Well, the Durham VA is celebrating the completion of a $13.8 million research facility. This as an investigation into the hospital continues. The Durham VA, along with about 24 other VA hospitals nationwide, are under scrutiny after allegations of improper scheduling and delayed wait times for patient care. The delays may have resulted in patient deaths in some locations. President Obama has called for the Inspector General to conduct an investigation. Critics say the time to act is now.
I personally don't believe that we need to wait to fix it. We need to start with the information that's already been proven, and that's that some decisions were made that delayed or eliminated a veteran's ability to get the care that they needed.
Senator Burr is calling for a series of hearings in Washington that will continue next week. He says they're aimed at finding out whether there's a legislative solution to help the VA leadership carry out its mission. While Moral Monday activists continue to protest the decisions by the Republican-led legislature, a group of students and graduates is asking lawmakers to better fund the UNC system. They held their first protest in what they're calling the Fight Back Friday movement. Diana Bosch tells us how they're hoping this will help students graduate debt-free.
News.
After the protests, the group delivered petitions signed by thousands to Speaker Tillis and Governor Pat McCrory. And coming up next here at 11 o'clock.
I'm meteorologist Doug.
We're watching Time Warner Cable News on ABC 45.
And Doug, you mentioned a cool down. I'm kind of glad to hear that. I was fearing we're going to skip spring and head right into summer.
Yeah, it often happens this time of the year. You know, we're going into this unofficial start to summer, and a lot of times it'll be hot and sometimes stormy through Memorial Day weekend, but we're actually going to be very nice. It'll get a little warmer by Memorial Day itself, but next couple of days sure looking fantastic. And it's in the afternoon beginning on Tuesday. That's your weather on the Ones forecast. Back over to you, Sharon.
Hey, thank you, Doug. Your sports is coming up next tonight. The ACC baseball tournament is in full swing in the Gate City, and Mike has highlights. You know, Mike, Doug was just saying it's going to be really nice this weekend, which is really important. We got a lot going on, a lot of racing, a lot of baseball.
Yeah, exactly. And the baseball is going to grind its way towards the conclusion, and it doesn't appear that there's going to be a whole lot of Old North on Memorial Day for the national championship. But also, speaking of national championship, Sharon, and Duke, and talk about the Duke women's golf team, they picked up a national championship on Friday as well. So they are swinging their way home with some hardware.
Thank you, Mike. More news after this break here on Time Warner Cable News on ABC 45. And if you play, get your tickets out. Your live North Carolina Education Lottery drawing is coming up. A Wake County jury spared the life of a convicted killer today. 32-year-old Armand DeVega will serve life in prison without parole instead of getting the death penalty. Wake County has not handed down a death sentence since 2007. Following the outcome, family members of the victim say they are relieved DeVega will be off the streets. Hundreds were in Uptown Charlotte tonight for the second night of Speed Street. This event centers around the Coca-Cola 600 race at Charlotte Motor Speedway this weekend. A Charlotte Knights baseball game at BB&T Ballpark brought even more people uptown. Emergency officials with the city and county are working together to make sure everyone stays safe during the events. Hail, described as the size of golf balls, hit Union County and several northern South Carolina counties this evening. Many reported seeing hail as large as 3 inches wide. No major damage has been reported so far, but it did catch many people by surprise. All of the North Carolina Zoo gorillas are moving to a new home. The Association of Zoos Gorilla Species Survival Plan recommended moving the animals. As Chad Mira tells us, it says the change will help the zoo's young gorillas develop into healthy adults. If you'll miss the young gorillas, there are many other new attractions coming to the zoo. The new polar bear exhibit is just months away from opening, and the zoo has welcomed a number of new babies recently, including a new baby chimpanzee.
This young chimps on display. Our young male gorillas will be here all summer. We have a new polar bear patches. So there's always, we have a new baby otter that was born this spring. So we have lots and lots of things to see at the zoo, and it always changes. That's a good thing about it, is whenever you come to the zoo, you're going to see something different.
It's not too late to see the young gorillas. They'll stay with the zoo all summer. More than 100 four-legged felines fill the Guilford County Animal Shelter, and you can add one of those cats to your family for a reduced price during their Red Hot Cat Sale. All cats older than 6 months are just $20 each. That includes a fully vetted pet with spay and neuter services, rabies shot, tags, and microchip. Organizers say they hope community members will open their homes to these animals, but remember, it is a long-term commitment.
We just, encourage
everyone else would consider it as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I've got 3 of my own. In fact, that long-term commitment thing, one of my rescue cats is 18 years old and still going strong. The holiday weekend looks absolutely fantastic, folks. Couple of favors. Enjoy your holiday weekend. Do it safely. And don't forget what this holiday weekend is all about as we honor those that made the ultimate sacrifice so that we could enjoy our freedom. Take care. We'll see you next week.
All right, thank you, Doug, and thank you for joining us. Jimmy Kimmel Live is up next. Time Warner Cable News is available around the clock and on your schedule. Have a great night.